Okay. Okay. The last topic in the collections is properties. It is a legacy class. Okay. We'll discuss for 5 minutes and then we'll continue other topics. Okay. Properties. Properties is also one of the legacy class which is used to store the key value pair files. Okay. If I want to load some file from some different location from file system or from database, if you want to load up some properties file, then we can use of dynamically the properties file can load the files. Okay, it will read that key value pair from the properties file. Okay, which is available in the system. Okay, and when we will require this properties file means, let's say normally in case of most of the times to load our database details. Sorry, to load our database details on environment basis. Okay, environment to environment, most of the times we'll use of properties file. Most of the times we'll use of, even in real time also we'll use most of the times to load of that database property, DB properties for dev environment, DB properties, SIT environment, DB properties, V8 environment, prod environment. To load up the properties based on the environments, we'll use of properties class to load that. Okay. Now let's go and see that. Okay. Now, so there are some methods that are available. Okay. There are some methods that are available to load that file. Okay. Let's now the methods are, if I want to read, first of all, what is the property file? Property file is like, there is some, let's open up if any properties file, no properties file. Yeah, this, yeah, we have one properties file, this one, or either within the project. Okay, either within the project or outside the system also, either within the project or outside the system files also can load that. Okay, either this properties file or db properties file, whichever you want, we can load off these properties files. We can load off the properties file, or we can add new properties to the files also. Okay, now let's delete off all these things for time being, and let's go to, yeah. So first what we'll do is like, so there are some common methods that will be used for properties file is, one is load method. Okay, one is load method to load up the properties file from where exactly it is available. So file input stream, it is a file, I want to load whatever the properties of this file into this properties class object. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to load the file whatever that is there here. So inside this file I have some properties. This is the key, this is the value. Okay, before equal is the key, after equal is the value. Okay, I want to, this is one property, this is one entry, this is another entry, like 5 entries is available in this properties file. I want to load off all these entries. I want to load off all these entries into my class, into properties class. Okay, now in that case, first what we need to, first we need to read the file where exactly it is available in the system. Okay, this is the file input stream, file as a input to our properties file, right? File input stream, fi is equal to new file input stream of, this is the path where exactly it is available in the system. Okay, now whatever the object is of file input stream object, that we need to keep inside properties. There is a method called load method. There is a method called load method to load all the properties which is available in this file. Okay, we'll call off this load method and bypass passing off this object, then it will load all this data which is available in this file. Next, this will for printing. Next, if I want to get off, if I want to get specific property, if I want to get off any specific property from that file which is available. Okay, in this file I have db password is there. Okay, let's, I want to read off this password. Okay, then there is a method called get property method. There is a method called get property of that property name, means key name. So returns the value associated for that property. or key. Okay, so let's use of this one to d dot properties dot get property. For which property I want to get the value? db dot password I want to get it. Okay, now let's see if any changes is there also. Let's see. So now run it. Okay, now these are different purpose. I'll explain one by one later. Now now run it. First, it is displaying of all the properties which is loaded. Okay, we have loaded this file, entire file, right? That we are displaying in the properties. So out of all these things, I want to out of all these things, I want to load one property specifically. I want to load up one property, getting the value associated to that means then we can use get property of that key value name key. Okay, then it will return that value associated to that key. Okay, let's say if I want to add up any new value. If I want to add up any new value, let's take it off URL. Let's take it off URL is let's give off JDBC colon thin colon Oracle. Just assume I'm giving some URL for connecting to Oracle database. Okay. If this property is already there, it will change this value. If it is not there, then it will create it. Okay. Just assume it is Oracle URL. Oracle.url. Let's so to store this one, we need to call off. There is a method called again. Where exactly we need to load this one? Where exactly in which file we want to load it? Okay, this file is loaded to this one, but where exactly this new property want to update? In which file that we need to do? So file input stream of okay file input stream sorry file output stream we need to write to the file right so file output stream FOS equal to new file output stream of so we need to give that file path in which file you want to add this new URL. Let's go and check whether oracle dot URL do you have that one. Oracle dot URL is not there. All DB password user or DB type DB URL DB type 1 is there. Now let's run it. This is got and let's go and check it. See the file is asking to reload it. File is asking to reload it. See it is updated on March 10th 10:43 IST India time. Okay, and it is updated by Ram. This is a message that I have given while storing in the class. So this is the new property that is added. Okay, now, so if I want to iterate of the data, if I want to iterate of the data, then in that case, so normally in case of enumeration, we have method called elements method, right? For getting of this one, there is a method called property names. It will give off all the property names. Will give off all the property names. So that E has more elements and next element is the known methods for iterating it. Known methods for iterating each and every one. Okay. This is the properties guys. Okay. So if you have anything, you can ask me guys. Whether you can use elements or only getting up property names, both. Anything is fine. Okay. But we can't use iterator here. We can't use iterator. That is only for the collection classes, not for legacy collection classes. That is not possible. Okay. So any doubt here? So let's say for suppose if I'm changing the file path is different. It is in where D drive lib folder, right? If I'm changing the file path is to some lib1, there is no file with lib1, right? The folder. Now let's try. There is no folder. Okay. The folder is not there. then in that case it will give a file not found exception. Now let's while loading itself it will throw exception. See, file not found exception in the lib1 folder. Okay, compulsory we need to give as path must be in same. If you are not giving anything, okay, then it will search that file in the current project. It will search that file in the current project. It will search for that file in the current project if it is there. One second, if it is there or not, let's see. See, it is there. Okay, if it is there, it will load from this file. Okay, let's try. If it is not there, if it is not there, it will give off file not found exception db properties not find in the system. Okay, let's control back. So any doubt in the loading of the properties file, guys? No doubt. Okay, good. Now, so someone is asking of synchronized version of RList, right? Normally, by default, RList is not synchronized. RList is not synchronized class. Okay, if you want to get off, RList with synchronized version, there are some methods that are there are some methods to convert to synchronized version of R list. So in that case, what is the method? Synchronized of list method is there. Synchronized of list method for converting that list into list or set, whatever that is. For converting that, we'll use of that method. Let's take off one example also. Now let's take off one example. Where is that? Let's write off one class with this one only, right? Let's set. Okay, write off one class. Okay, array list. Yeah, what we'll write? We'll write off some class. Write off some class. Now let's say array list A equal to new array list of new array list. New array list of just to give some type, anything. Okay. Now this object will create object we have created, right? So if after that, let's create of some add some data, add it one data add of two is enough. Okay. Now now call that synchronized method collections. There is a collections utility class dot synchronized synchronized list synchronized list of pass this a object pass this a object. Now let's it will give off a synchronized version of list object. By default it is not synchronized. Okay, sy and sync list. Okay, sync list object. Now write it synchronized of synchronized of sync list object. Okay, now two of some operations, sync list of sync list dot iterator. Okay, it will give off iterator object. Okay, ITR. Now just write off while loop with iterator, right? Has a next, not in this one, with iterator. Yeah, with iterator. Now it is system.out.println now for print it. The value yes. Oh, value. Okay. At a time, this code will be executed by only this object is there, right? The sync list object can be accessed by only one thread at a time. It will not allow to add of multiple threads. Okay, normally this one can be accessed by multiple threads at a time, this A object, but we are converting this object into synchronized list. We are converting this object into synchronized list. Okay, now let's try to add of dot add. So whenever you are writing also, if you are trying to execute this code, so the synchronized block will be executed by only once. Only one thread can accessible this thread. Okay, it is not possible to execute of multiple threads at a time. Okay, so there is no much thing here. Only one thread you want to allow or multiple threads. Okay, that's it. Now any other things, guys? Yesterday one more person asked one more question. Is it clear whoever asked this question? This object, sorry, synchronized set and map. Set and map both are different objects. Major difference means set is only one element will store, right? Map is it will store of two objects, key value pair. Okay, and one more thing, it will not allow of, so only set contains only one values, right? It is not of multiple values. First of all, it will add of only single elements. And map is coming to the map means it is of key value pair storing data. It is of key value, it is not under collection, but set is under collection. This is under collection, it will come the set, but map will not come under collection. That is it entirely, it is a different one. It is not under a collection. Okay, there is no other interface. Map is a separate interface, it contains its own methods. To store of some key value pair related information, we'll go for map. If you want only single elements data, then you can go for set without duplicates. Okay. Now next, any other questions, guys? Okay. Now we'll go for the next concept. Let's verify it. Serialization. Next concept is serialization. So coming to serialization, what is serialization? First, okay. Now serialization is nothing but okay. Whenever we are writing some file, I return some employee data, some data is there. I want to store that object. I want to transfer that object in the network level. I want to store that object in the either file or in the network. Okay, I want to convert that file. I want to convert that. Sorry, I want to convert that object into either some file or either some in the network level in the network. So we are traversing that file in the network level. then in that case the serialization process will come into the picture. Okay, the first of all, what is serialization means? It is converting of or saving of any object into a file, converting our object into a file, or converting our object into Java supported or network supported file format, network supported file form, then we'll call it as a serialization. Okay, now first, how exactly we can achieve that? Let's say we'll take directly an example. Let's take off any class. Okay, class employee. Okay, written class. So whatever the class that it has the properties, whatever the class can contain the properties, just assume name. Okay, sorry, int not name, int id. Okay, string name. Okay, if I want to store off these values, okay, if I want to give off some values, then what we can do, whether in the source code we need to store, or I want to store it in the some file. I want to store in some file this data employee object. Let's create of employee object, and I want to store this file in the some file. So directly we can't store this object into the file. So without serialization, so to move this object into some file compulsory, it should be implements of serializable. So if you are implementing serializable, then only JVM will understood that yes, this file can be, this object can be traversed or moved or network supported. It will to traverse this object in the network level. Okay, let's take one example and then we'll go for some practical things. This is one employee class, right? Let's take off one more class. I want to traverse that class. Let's serialize the test. Now what we can do, let's create a employee class object, and I want to store that in some file. Okay, let's assume. Let's see, employee equal to new employee. Okay, so e dot, already we have data is there. Already in this, let's say system dot out dot println e dot id dot out dot println e dot name. These are coming. Let's see if it is coming, then we will save it. Both are coming. Now I want to save this object. I want to save this object in the network. I want to save this object in the file. In some file I want to save it. Okay, without serializing, without serializing, it is not possible to, it is not possible to store this object in the file. Now let's see, we'll get off some exception and then we'll go for this concept. First, what we are doing, we want to move this object to some file. So that means output, we are doing of file output stream. File output stream FOS. Okay, equal to new file output stream of the file where you want to store it. The file where you want to store this. Give the some path. Give some path or where it's directly in the project itself. Just assume. Okay. Mm, give us some name, EMP or employee by dot serializable, employee dot serializable. We need to give file name. Okay, once it is given, then we need to convert this object into, we need to write this object, right? Now next, one second. Yeah, any error? Oh yeah, it is accepting some exception. Just throw off this exception, otherwise it will not accept it. Okay, next, after this, write it to some some place, right? Object output stream, object output stream. So yes, write of yes equal to new, we need of this, we need to pass this file output stream, where exactly we want that file. Okay, now object output stream of now FOS. FOS. Okay, now happen again any exception is throwing IO exception, throw this exception also. Okay, IO exception. Instead of that, throw single exception. It will take care of all the exceptions, right? Why to take care? Now OOS dot. We need to write this object, right? There is a method called write object. Write object. There is a method to store this object in that employee E. Okay. Now let's check it. Object is now serialized. Not out that println object serialized. Now let's see. We have not implemented, our class is not implemented serializable. We'll get up some exception called uh, serializable exception. See, not serializable exception. What employee class is not serialized. Okay, so to avoid this exception, compulsory our class has to implement serializable interface, even though it does not having any methods. Even though actually it doesn't have any methods. Serializable is a marker interface. If our class is implementing serializable interface, then JVM will understood. JVM will understood this object can be traversed in the network level or file supported form. We can convert it. So otherwise it is not possible. Now let's see. Now let's run it. Object is serialized. Now let's refresh the project. It will create one file. See, employee.scr file is created. If you want to store in some file, okay, if you want to store it some file, let's take it off some path D drive. Okay, then it will store in. Need to give two slices, guys. Try. Now let's serialize it. Just do it. Object is serialized. Go and check employee dot serializable file is created here. Okay. If you want to serialize any object, then compulsory our class must be serialized. Okay. Next, if you want to read that object, that is serialized. If I want to read this object, then we need to do again. This is for serialization. Let's assume that I want to read the data which is from this object. Okay, I want to read the data which is available in this file. Now let's write off file. Now this file output stream. Now we need to write off file input stream. We are taking input as a file we are reading. Okay, now file input stream FIS equal to new file input stream of file where exactly it is available, the file path to read it. Okay, read it. And then so now again what is there later, what we did, object output stream, right? Now object is going out. Now the file is coming input, right? Now object input stream OIS equal to new object input stream of this FIS we need to give. Okay. Now from this we need to read it. From the object OIS object is the right. From this we need to read it. Read object. Read. There is a method. What is the first parameter? Let's go and check off what is the first. It is of object type, right? Yeah. It is of object type. Read object. read object. So what is the type of object it is? Employee object I stored, right? Convert to employee. Convert to employee. Okay, and then create one employee object and then store it. Employee emp. Now from this you can get the data what is there. System.out.println emp dot id. System.out.println emp dot name. These two that we are reading from, but directly you can't understood this. This is in different format. This is in different format that we can't understood. So it is an employee object. I'm converting it back to, I'm converting back to Java object and then reading the data. Now let's see. It is coming. Let's say simply if I'm modifying that path, it will give exception. So file is not there. It is not identifying that file. So that means that this data is reading from that employee, this employee serializable file. Okay. Now let's go to document and then read and then we'll come back again if anything. So serialization. What is serialization means? The process of saving or writing. Okay, either save or write state of an object. Okay, let's say here in our case employee. Save of a state of an object to a file. Save of an object to a file is called serialization, or else strictly speaking it is a process of converting our Java object from Java supported form, object from Java supported form to either network supported form or file supported form. So if you want to convert our object into in these forms, compulsory we need to do of serialization. Okay, by using file output stream and object output stream. File output stream and object output stream we can achieve of serialization. File output stream for reading. Okay, so for creating of where exactly you want to create that file, and this is for serializing of that object. Okay, now deserialization. Serialization means converting our Java object into network supported or file supported form. Deserialization means it is converting network supported form or file supported form into Java object back. Okay, the process of reading object from object getting back our Java object back from file is called deserialization. Okay, or strictly speaking we can say it is a process of converting object. It is converting back again to object from file supported form or network supported form to java supported java supported form. Now how to achieve deserialization? We can achieve by using file input stream or object output stream. These two classes will be used for converting our serializable file into for reading file input stream and object input stream. We are for converting back to Java object. It is called as deserialization. Okay, you can take off some examples. I have given example also whether it you want to file or you want to some same project. Just remove the path. It will store in the current project. Guys, ask me if any doubt here. I'll repeat it if anything is not clear. Yeah, note. So we can perform serialization only for the serializable object. When will it will be serializable? Only whenever our class is implementing serializable interface. Okay. An object is said to be serializable if and only if when a class implements serializable interface. Then only we'll call it as a serializable class. Okay. Now, serializable interface is present in IO package. It does not contain any methods. Okay, it is a marker interface. Serializable is a marker interface. It does not having any methods. What it will give? It will give some instructions to the JVM. Okay, does not contain any methods. It is a marker interface. This required ability will be provided automatically by JVM. If our class is implementing serializable, automatically JVM will provide that ability to transfer that object in the network supported form. Okay. Now we can add any number of objects to the file. Okay, we can add any number of objects to the file. Okay, and we can read those objects from the file, but in whichever order that we are adding into the serialization process, in the same order only we need to read it back. Okay, now if you are trying to serialize, non-serializable object, we will get a runtime exception saying not serializable exception. This already we have achieved. So because first itself without implementing serializable interface, we have tried, it is giving off exception, right? That already we have seen that. So if you have any doubts up to now, ask me guys. Up to now, what is serialization? What is deserialization? How to achieve it? Clear guys or not? Okay, then good. Now, so if you want to have multiple one, if you want to save off multiple objects, if you want to save multiple objects into serializable, if you want to do have multiple objects to serializable, then I have given one more example also here. Okay, if you want, you can try that. Let me, I will explain 1 or 2 minutes. So I have taken off one class. Okay, it is serializable. I have taken off another class serializable. Okay, now I'm testing of I created of two objects. I want to serialize these two objects, dog object as well as cat object. Okay. Now I want to store these two in animal.scr. See, I want to convert as a one file. So file output stream, new file output stream of I want to store these two objects into this serializable file. Now convert this object output stream, create object, and then pass off this FOS. Now OS dot write object of D1, it is a dog object and cat object. So both is serialized. While reading time also, this is of serialization time. While deserialization also, we need to read off dog object first and cat object next. Okay, that order is compulsory. We need to remember that. See here, file input stream. This is a file, and object input stream. Just pass this FIS object into object input stream, and then read object of dog, read object of cat. So compulsory this order must be remember. It is important. Okay. Next, transient. This transient keyword is already we have discussed. Only transient keyword is we have discussed in long back. But let's repeat. In case of serialization, we will use of in case of serialization, we'll use transient keyword. Let's say I have two variables. I have two properties. So I want to serialize of all these properties. Okay. Then by default, all will be serialized. Right. Now I don't want to serialize of all these properties. I want to do of only one property. Okay. I want to do of only one property and I don't want to serialize of another property. While deserialization, let's read it. While deserialization, both we are getting back again. Both we are getting back again. Let's say in our object, there is some sensitive information is there. There is some sensitive information. Just assume password is also there. Just assume string password. Okay, string password equal to some IBC test. Just assume. Now, I don't want to, let's say if I'm passing this username and password, just assume username and password. If password is someone is hacked, then it is easy for them to do misuse. Okay. In that case, I don't want to serialize my password. Even though if I'm passing, you need to pass as a default value of string is null. I want to pass while serialization. Okay. Then in that case, we need to use of transient keyword without transient, let's see it. Without transient, let's see this. Now, so now let's serialize the same object with the password. Okay, object is serialized. Object is serialized while getting time also. While getting time also. Just uncomment it, comment it, and this object is reloaded. Now let's get off password also. emp dot password. Now let's see. Even we'll get off password also. Whatever that we have setted, okay, the same value is coming, but I don't want to save that password into this file, emp employee.serializable file. I don't want to save that pass secure information into that file. Okay, in that case, we need to make that property as we need to make this property as transient. Then in that case, what transient, then in that case, while serialization time, while serializing this employee object, JVM will ignore the properties which are having transient modifier, which is having transient modifier. For that, it will ignore the values, and default values of this password is string type. So it will store off. It will send null value to that. It will send null value instead of that. Now let's do this time again. Let's serialize again. Only I changed it to transient, guys. There is no other change that I did. Okay, I made it transient. Now it is serialized. Object is serializer. Reload it or close it. It is moving to some file right here. Now convert it and deserialize it. This time observe it transient. So what is the value of password is coming? Null is coming. Okay. Sometimes, let's say in our object is contain hundreds of properties. Out of that, there are some secure information is there. You don't want to share, or sometimes you don't want to pass those values to the object. You don't want to serialize. Then in that case, those properties we can make them as transient. Okay. Then in that case, those objects will not be saved in the serialization and deserialization process. It will not be involved. Let's go to document and then read it. This already explained one in long back only, transient keyword. Okay. Transient is a modifier applicable for only for variables, guys, not for classes and not for methods also, only for variables. This modifier is applicable. When this modifier is applicable means while performing only in serialization process, if you don't want to save off the value of a particular variable, if I don't want to save off a particular variable value to meet of some security constraint, such type of variables we can declare as a transient modifier. Such type of variables we can declare as a transient keyword. Then in that time, so at the time of serializing object, in which line actually serialization will happen? So in this line, serialization will happen. OS dot write object, while writing our object into some serialization form to some file. In that case, JVM ignores at the time of serialization. JVM ignores the original values of transient variables. Even though whatever the values that you are setting, even though it will ignore those values. Okay, save the default values. So for string, it is default value is null. For integer, its default value is 0. Okay, like that. If you are, where is that? If I'm making this as a transient, then id will be default, it will default value is 0, that will be stored. Let's one example, make it transient and test it. Instead of 100, it will 0, default value of integer is 0, right? So it will store that 0 value, it will pass 0 value. Now let's read back again. See, it is coming as 0, default value 0 is coming for instead of because employee ID also we made it as transient. Okay, is it clear up to serialization and deserialization? Guys, if not clear, let me know, guys. I'll repeat, else I'll continue the next part. What is next topic? Externalization. Okay, guys, before continuing, I'm asking again, is it clear? Okay, now externalization. Okay, so till now, whatever the serialization and deserialization, everything is under control of JVM. We don't have any control, right? To remove off that values, all those things, everything is done by JVM. We don't have any control in our hand, right? So, and that too, whatever the object that is totally, it is serializing. Every every object is a total object, whatever that is there, total object is serializing, and that too we don't have any our control. We don't have any control in our hand. Everything is taken care by JVM. But my requirement is, but my requirement is, I want to save off part of the object only serialize. I want to do only part of the object to be serialized. Then in that case, we need to go for externalization. In that case, we need to go for externalization. In externalization, JVM does not having any control. Everything should be taken care by programmer. Okay? Okay, everything should be taken care by programmer only. Okay? So to get off serialization, compulsory our class is implementing serializable interface. But in case of externalization, our class must implement of externalizable interface. Externalizable. There is one interface is there. Now let's see that. Externalizable. Tier externalizable. There is an interface called externalizable. This is the child interface of serializable interface. It is a child interface of serializable interface. Okay. Now it contains of two methods. Okay. Write external and read external. There is two methods. There are some two, not this one. There are some two methods, write external and read external. By using these two, we can do our own particular part of object can be serializable, and deserialization we can achieve that. Now let's go and see that, and first read that points and then we'll go for practical. Let's, yeah, externalization. Okay, in default serialization, in default serialization is everything taken care by JVM. Okay, only for keeping any object, everything will be taken care by JVM. We are not having any control. So programmer does not having any control in serialization part. Okay, in serialization, total object will be saved always. It is not possible to save part of the object, which is creating some performance issues certain point. Okay, let's say if our object is a very big one. Okay, then reading and reading also it is problematic, and only I want to, let's say 1,000 properties is there, then out of that only 20 to 30 properties I want to serialize. Then in that case, it is not good way for serialization. Externalization is the best one. Okay, now to overcome those problems, we should go for externalization, where everything will be taken care by programmer. JVM does not having any control. Okay, how to do that? The main advantage of externalization is over serialization. We can save either total object or part of the object based on our requirement. That depends. Okay. Now, to provide externalizable ability, okay, for any object compulsory corresponding class should be implements externalizable interface. In case of serialization, serializable interface. But externalizable is the child interface of serializable interface. Externalizable interface is child interface of serializable interface. Okay. Now, it has two methods for converting. There we have read object and write object. Here write external and read external. Okay. Now let's write external and read external. Both will take up some object, object output and object input. While reading object input, while writing object output. As a some parameters it will take it. Now let's take up some example. Already some example is there here. Yeah. So what I'm doing, I'm taking off, I'm explaining same example, guys. Let me take off same example. Let me take off. Let off some class exceptional example. Example. Convert to external import. Save it. External exam. Make it public and change it to the name external demo. Yes. So in this class is implementing externalizable interface. It has three properties. It has three properties and some constructor. Okay, some constructor have added default constructor. So when it will execute, that we'll see. And some this is also default parameterized constructor with some properties. Okay, while creating of object, we'll use it. Next, other two methods is there: write external and read external. Okay, external, what we will do, we will write off what exactly we want to serialize it. Okay, now out dot write object of out of three is I want to store of only s and I, only two variables. Out of three, I want to s and j only, I want to serialize it. J I don't want to do that. Okay, now in that case, while reading time also only s and j is reading. Now let's do of one more class for testing. Where is that? Let's copy this class external test main method, write of this, okay, control shift O, import everything. Okay. Write of some throws exception of some exceptions. What exactly again? IO exception. Instead of that, throws exception. Everything it will take care. Now go there where exactly we are read external and write external, right? And let's now. So I created of object of external demo class. It contains of three properties. It contains of three properties: name, two values. But I want to externalize of, I want to serialize only these two object, partial object only I want to serialize it. Okay, then in that case, first this is common, guys. These two lines is common: file output stream, object output stream, pass of the file name, pass of the serializable file name, external demo file name I am passing, and pass of this object into object output stream. The only thing is we need to this one, instead of internally, the write object internally will call off write object internally, it will call off write external to partially to partially serialize that object internally, it will call that method. Now later, let's comment it. We don't have any externalizable file, guys. It is serialized. Message is externalized. Object partially serialized. Object partially serialized. Let's read it. It object partially serialized. Just refresh the project. It is file is saved. Externalizable demo file is saved with partial data only. With partial data only, not full data. Okay. Now I want to read back that one. I want to read it back and save, comment it. Now run as this one. Only the third one is coming as 0, even though I'm passing as 2, it is giving a third one as 0. Okay, I didn't pass anything even though, but here in this case, partial object only I am serializing. Partial S, I, J. So how it is a file input stream? These lines are common, guys, no change. Okay, only the extra things that we did is this one. Extra things, what we did is this is the one. Okay, and one more thing, compulsory, I'm thinking default constructor is required here. I'm thinking int I. Okay, now I am doing, let's see if possible or not. Yes, in this case, invalid low. So compulsory at the time of deserialization, it will check for, I'm thinking it will check for only, it will check for only default. It will look for some default constructor also, I'm thinking. Okay, it will look for some default constructor is also required. By default it will call off say at the time of deserialization, at the time of deserialization it will call off default constructor. It is calling off default constructor. If default constructor is not there means it will throw an error. Now let's comment it. Okay, yeah, already, because already we have created some parameterized constructor, right? Let's see. So it will not accept it. Compulsory. The default constructor is required. Okay. This point is missed here. I'm thinking. Hmm, one point is missed, guys. Default constructor is required in case of externalization. Okay. While deserializing back. This point is missed. I'll add that point tomorrow, guys. So is it clear, guys? The serialization process till now and externalization both. These two are mostly important, guys. Serialization will do most of the times in the real time also. Serializable interface is most usable interface. Many times we'll use it. Okay. If clear, guys, then we can discuss IO package tomorrow. Can discuss of this is also reading of the file, creating folders, files, reading that data, writing some data into the file, like that. This is of IO package related things that we'll discuss in the tomorrow's class, guys. Okay, that's what for tomorrow's class. Today's class, guys. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah.